What is up? Welcome.
Hey, welcome. Listen, our fan favorite Sean has gotten us cracked up to start off this show, but we're gonna leave all his antics on the sideline for this one, and we'll talk about it next time. Welcome back. Week 9 of football. Week
Yes.
5, 6 of us. 6.
I don't count anymore.
Yeah, I don't even count anymore. I don't think I can count. Week 6. Sean knows. Sean, you need to be our IT coordinator and get everything and check all our stats because I know I have some bogus stats today. But anywho, we'll have fun and we'll talk about it. So let's go.
So we put a tweet out on our Twitter that said,
Twitter.
do we as fans care too much? So that's kind of our theme for the day. And as Terrance just checked, 100% of the people that replied said yeah. So there's obviously this immense pressure that comes from fans caring and coaches caring and students caring and everyone's caring. And it puts this pressure on kids and coaches and programs to win. So we saw most recently Sam Ellinger go in against Oklahoma State when the previous week he got laid out. See him lying there motionless on the field for a few seconds against Oklahoma. And then they say, oh, no, he's totally good. And now he's in concussion protocol and all that fun stuff. So, you see him go back in and you can only help. But to think that he's the person that gives you the best chance to win, so in you go.
Yeah, Texas knows that. Oklahoma knew it. Oklahoma State knew it. He beat Kansas State late in the game. When you think about it, it's comical because everyone's like, oh, these guys are getting free educations.
Yeah.
We already know what the NFL has put out with the CTE, study. Almost 100% of NFL players will have that disease, and it starts in college. It starts in high school. There's studies now with younger kids who take these huge hits because they're 80 pound linebackers that are 5 years old.
Yeah.
Is literally blitzing every play and just beating everyone up. But when you think about Sam Ellinger, late in the game against OU, he got hit and he's motionless. The next series, they're down 5 points. Tom Herman makes the decision, hey, he gives us the best chance, concussed or not, and then he puts them in the game. And then he plays the entire game against Oklahoma State. Goes into overtime, throws a pick to seal the win for Oklahoma State, and then he goes into concussion protocol. At what part of the game did he get concussed, or he take a hit? And why did you not notice that? And they're talking about, oh, they noticed it when after the game, post game stuff.
There is media.
Well, I find that a bunch of hoopla. But the fans, we as fans, we get on internet, Twitter, message boards, and we bash our players, we bash our coaches, and it's just a game. Jimbo Fisher has done nothing but win games at Florida State. And last weekend, the fans were like, hey, we need a new coach. And Jimbo looks up in the stands. I know he has to maintain his composure. He looks up in the stands and he said, hey, won't you come down here and say that to my face? And obviously, that's not going to happen. I remember Coach Kaz at Baylor when we got beat by TCU 45-10. They were heckling us, and you can go out there on YouTube and watch the video. It's pretty funny to me. Coach Kaz just fights for his guys, and you get people like that make fun of the players who don't do anything but work hard. Yeah, and I can understand calling that effort, but when we constantly talk about people winning and losing games, I think it has to deal with the pressure from fans and the expectations of our fan bases.
Mm-hmm.
We look at it across all football across all levels. A couple of years ago, Max Schwab, he had a fan at his house taking pictures of his family, said he's going to kill him because Houston Texans suck so much. Obviously, we can go throughout history. In 1968, you have Tommy Smith and John Carlos, who held up their hand and they had death threats. You have Jose Canseco, who outs baseball and they're illegal. You know what they were doing, jacking it up their arms and thighs and buttocks and stuff. And then you had Andres Escobar, who, if you ever watched the 30 for 30, the two Escobars, I encourage you to go check it out because it's real. Colombian soccer player. They played in the 1994 World Cup, and they said they were going to kill him when he got back to Colombia, and because he hit an own goal. And when you hit an own goal, he went to the club, and that night he was shot 6 times and died. So we don't see that on a college level, but we see fans from both men and women. Sarah is a girl from Alabama who tweeted out Kay Foster in 2013, said, "I'm going to kill you." So she is very, very passionate about that. Yeah. Kay Foster is the kicker from Alabama who kicked the field goal too short. Chris Davis runs it back, and obviously we know how that game turned out. But let's talk about like how much money these athletic budgets for these programs have, and is there any correlation to the expectation of winning big games in college football? So if you just think off the top of your head, what big programs do you think have a lot of pressure to win national championships every year?
Alabama.
Okay.
I mean, A&M hasn't competed, but
yeah.
They obviously have a huge budget. Texas has a huge budget. I think the USC, Stanford, Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But do you think those fan bases expect national championships each year, or they expect 10, 12 wins?
That caliber of a team, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and so you mentioned A&M. Their budget is $192 million. Texas 183, Ohio State 167, Michigan 152. Michigan, who has played, I don't think Jim Harbaugh has lost more than 3 games in the last 2 years in a season. Now he may be on pace to do that this year, but they're talking about him and comparing him to Butch Jones at Tennessee, which is totally ridiculous. But hey, it's college football, and that's what it sells tickets. I'm talking about coaches and not being able to win. Alabama comes in at number 5, right under 150 million. The only big basketball program in the top 25 that has a higher budget than their football team is Louisville at 42.9 million. So when you talk about that, Louisville
they have to pay all their players.
Yeah, well, no, they pay people to get their players, i.e., escort service and Adidas basketball. So shout out to Rick Pitino, our good friend. He'll be on next week's segment, which reminds me that next week's segment will be on Wednesday at 7 because of the college football playoff committee doing their first.
There's a bulldog in the house.
Yeah, first show, and then also they'll be talking about Halloween. So they won't be talking about Halloween, but it will be
Halloween is my least favorite holiday. So
why is that?
I hate costumes. I hate them. They give me the heebie-jeebies.
Do you like Bruiser?
No. And I knew Bruiser in college, and he would chase me.
Was it Scott?
Yeah.
Oh, Scott is a great guy.
Debatable
let's not say that on air.
No, just because he would chase me when he was in costume, and it freaked me out.
Oh, well, that makes him even a better guy in my book.
Okay.
But yeah, so the Texas A&M has this unrealistic expectation that Sumlin is supposed to win the SEC West every year. And I'm going to tell you how hard it is to win the SEC West. There's only 2 teams that have done it in the last 7 years to my knowledge, and that's LSU and Alabama. Yeah. And I got to remember what year Cam Newton was at Auburn, but it's probably right around 2009 to 2010 when he was at Auburn. But anywho, it's hard to win that division, probably the toughest division in college football. Now this year, there's only one team. Racist remarks for losing games, and the expectation is like if you're going to be a coach at A&M, or you're going to be a coach at Texas, Tom Herman has a lot of things to do at Texas, and they lost to Maryland to start the season, and everyone flipped. I mean, Baylor knew we were going to have, I think most fans knew we were going to have a down year in Waco. But there's a lot of people that, Rule's the worst coach. I like Rule. I think he's the best coach for the job. I just don't agree with all the ways that we're going about changing everything. I think we have a lot of talent on the team. Open that talent up, let them run wild, and then start honing in. And, it's like creating a clay pot. I mean, I think he's working with, his first interview said, you take your 2 hands and you go to work. So this is my two-hand analogy go to work for Matt Rule is you got a clay pot. The clay is very very soft. It's moldable, I guess is the word. I don't do clay. Maybe you do.
I do.
But so you use your hands and you make a shape. I think he had a almost finished product, and it was almost hardened, and he took a sledgehammer and broke that thing to pieces. And right now, we just got to add a lot of water to it to get it back wet, and then form what he wants to look like in a nice pottery. But I have no idea where I was going with that. But all those stats and those numbers come from Business Insider 2012, just so our YouTube account doesn't get hit with some kind of copyright infringement for data and stuff. But anyways, I think fans care too much. I care too much. I will say it's hard for me to watch games subjective anymore.
Yeah.
I'm a football fan, so I'm watching a game late in the game against West Virginia Baylor, sitting in the stands, and West Virginia, a pass from Charlie Brewer, lost over. West Virginia has a chance to pick it off. And I'm mad that he didn't pick it off because as the football player in me is like, you got to make that play. And then I realized, like, oh, I'm a Baylor fan. Well, hey, Charlie Brewer, like, you can't make that throw, or Denzel Mims, you got to come back to the ball. So it's very hard for me to be subjective. We'll talk about that subjectiveness later in the segment when we talk about Baylor versus Texas. So.
All right, on to hype or no hype. We have some new running backs this week because apparently that's all we wanted to talk about. So first of all, we have Josh Adams, who is the running back for Notre Dame, who had an explosive game against USC and just totally shoved USC on the back burner.
Yeah.
And you can go ahead and cross out their playoff hopes with that loss to Notre Dame. Josh Adams had 191 yards, 3 touchdowns on 19 carries against USC.
Yeah, I mean he stuck it to him.
Yeah.
What Notre Dame did well was take advantage of 3 turnovers by SC. SC has been fueled with turnovers all year long. You cannot win games and turn over the ball a lot.
Yeah.
I've said that about Baylor in the past. Last week, Baylor had no turnovers. We gave ourselves a chance to win, but at the end of the day, a loss is a loss. We didn't win. Baylor didn't win. And that's what USC is starting to face is, you have great talent. You have NFL talent on your roster. You're being careless with the ball. You're being careless with some plays, and it leads to, Josh Adams and Wimbush going off. And Wimbush threw for 2 touchdowns, ran for 2. And then, obviously, Josh Adams had his big game where he's averaging over 10 yards a carry. He has 8 touchdowns on the year, and he's just shy of 1,000 yards. I like him. And if he can go off against NC State this next week, and then later on in the season they have Miami, I like the chances of Notre Dame sneaking in there and maybe getting in over a TCU that's undefeated because Notre Dame's schedule is crazy packed. Totally. I got them at number 5 in my roster, but we'll see. In my top 5, 6 teams, Notre Dame is playing really, really well. They're playing better than Ohio State right now, and they got a big game this week to prove it.
Yeah. Jumping over to Alabama, Damian Harris has just become an absolute workhorse for the Crimson Tide.
Yeah.
First of all, he doesn't play majority of the second half, and he still put up 10 touchdowns and almost 700 yards this season.
Yeah, he is a workhorse. I mean, you got to think, when Alabama went to their national championship with Eddie, was it Ingram? Yeah, I think it was Mark Ingram. And then you had Trent Richardson. You're like, oh, Trent Richardson's going to be nice. And then you had T.J. Yeldon. Then you had Eddie Lackey. And then you had Derrick Henry. And then you had another running back in there, Kenyon Drake, I think. And then you got Bo Scarborough. And you're like, I honestly think Nick Saban goes to the Alabama prison system. And I'm not saying that any of these athletes' dads are in prison. I guess I am saying that. But I think he goes to the prison system. He finds the biggest guys. He's like, do you want your son to play in the NFL? And then he's like, yeah, I want my son to play in the NFL. And he's like, all right, he got a scholarship. I mean, these guys are massive human beings. is 17 years old. You can only imagine how big their dads are. And obviously,
boys.
I think Damian Harris in Alabama will win this. I think they'll win out. They have Auburn at the end of the year. They got LSU in a couple weeks. LSU will be a big game for them. LSU played horrible earlier in the year, but they're starting to string a couple games together, which is perfect timing for being able to win the SEC East or West. Even if they win the SEC, LSU, they don't get in because they got 2 losses, and one of them is Detroit. I don't think there'll be multiple 2-loss teams in the top 5.
Comparing Damian Harris to Saquon Barkley real fast before we touch on LSU again. Saquon Barkley has 60 more rushing yards, but that's while averaging 6.5 more carries.
Yeah, so Saquon Barkley is all they have. Mm-hmm. I don't even know the backup running back. I think until last week, Saquon Barkley led the Penn State Nittany Lions in
rushing and passing.
Yeah, passing receiving yards. So when you think about that, I think this stat is somewhat misleading because if you look at who's more important to the team, you have to go with Barkley over Harris.
But Harris gets it done on less carries.
Yeah, he does get it done. I tell you who else gets it done. Only 3 times in SEC history is Darius Geis, the guy who posted a picture of his mom earlier this season. Caroline and I touched on that. Mom in front of a new car and he deleted it. I'm sure his mom is riding around in that thing. Riding around straight getting it, whatever that song is. But he's the only running back. And look at all the running backs that SEC has ever had. Great running backs. 250 yards in 3 different games is an LSU record and also a SEC record. And he said he wasn't 100% in the game. Jeez. Hey, you know any more big LSU running backs? I mean, big SEC running backs, Sean?
We put him on the spot.
Yeah. No, what's the Bo Jackson? Didn't he go to Auburn? Yep. Who else? There's some big running backs, but they didn't ever run for 250 yards in 3+ games. So I give my money to Geis, and I give him. I'll let him ride in my Hyundai if he wanted. But I'm sure his agent is already bought him
a brand new Range Rover, so I don't think he needs to.
Listen, we got one team. We got one team for Pass the Sticks this week, and they deserve all the attention. Herschel Walker. Well, he would too. And what's called is playing really good. Nick Chubb is playing good for Georgia. He seemed like he's been there forever. But anyways, so Pass the Sticks. Kansas. Unplug your console from the wall. Take it to the nearest kid that you can find on the street and never play the game again.
21 yards of offense.
I got to be careful because Baylor plays Kansas in a couple of weeks, and I don't want this to come back and backfire me. But listen, Kansas had negative 25 yards rushing on 31 carries. They should have just kneeled the ball every time and protested. They should have just protested TCU's defense because it was horrible. And by protesting the defense, kneeling it, you may be able to actually run out the clock and not get beat by 43 points. Maybe you get beat 27 or nothing. You still get 21 yards of offense, and you still have negative 25 yards of rushing because you're doing the exact same thing running the ball. So this is the thing. I got a question for whoever TCU had at cornerback or safety to let the tight end from Kansas have all but 3 yards of the receptions. He had 35 receiving yards. Who gave up 35 receiving yards to the receiver from Kansas? And I mean, you gotta do better, man. They only got 21 yards of total offense, and you gave up 35 yourself. Come on, bro. You might have to pass the stick.
So
Let me go back and watch the film on that.
David Beatty had a quote after the game. He said, "We've got to pick out a few things that we can do well, and then we've got to really, really practice them and get good at them."
He better practice.
You don't have a few things to pick out. You have everything. You gave up on those 500 yards.
He said a few things to do they do well. They don't have nothing that do well. Yeah, he need to.
I was like, what kind of delusion are you living in?
He need to scrap
Your
that.
team's not doing anything well.
So this is the thing. Doug Meacham, former TCU OC, co-OC for the last few years. If you are on the internet right now, open a different browser, leave ours open, and then you go look up Doug Meacham sitting in the stairwell with his hand in his face. He's now Kansas OC. Knowing that he just left a really good program to go to a really, really bad program.
Yeah.
But next week, it may be the battle of the unbeatens versus Baylor and Kansas. And it's crazy because Baylor goes to Kansas. And that should never be a road game thing that you should worry about. But the jury's still out. Like I said, you got to take two hands and use that clay pot. But anyways, let's talk about our matchups.
All right, matchups of the week. Our national matchups that we are excited about. We've got Penn State and Ohio State, the Ohio State University.
It's just Ohio State.
So Penn State totally dominates Michigan last week. They outgained the Wolverines 506 yards to 269 yards, which is more than double of what Michigan was allowing on average this season. And we were talking about Michigan's defense is stingy. They are not going to give it up. And Saquon Barkley and company said, watch this.
Yeah, they gave it up. They gave it up for sure. And like I said last week, there's one team that has Saquon Barkley and one team that doesn't. Now, he was bottled up. He had a big run late, and then he caught that long touchdown pass late. The game was sort of out of hand. But, give credit to Penn State defense for stepping up. They have to step up this week. And I think it's the battle of two running backs. I mean, you got Saquon Barkley and you got J.K. Dobbins, which both are playing really, really good ball right now. And I think the better quarterback of the two is J.T. Barrett. So J.T. Barrett can be the X factor in this game if he can get creative with his legs and then make good passes down the stretch. I think this will be a low-scoring game to start out, and then it will open up because teams will start to get a little bit settled. Saquon is going into in Penn State, they're going into a hostile environment. And
Ohio State is doing blackout the shoe.
Yeah.
But I just think they're going to be walking into their own funeral.
You got Ohio State losing?
Yeah.
I got Ohio State winning.
We'll see.
We'll see. You'll owe me a Coke. What about NC State and
Notre Dame? Obviously, this is going to be a really important game for these teams as well. Like we said, Notre Dame, they've got to win out to prove themselves and get into the college football playoffs. And so this game is going to be really interesting. My favorite stat that I found is 6 versus 6. So NC State is ranked 6th in rushing defense, while Notre Dame is ranked 6th in rushing offense. So it'll be kind of interesting.
Thanks to your boy Josh Adams, huh?
Yeah.
He's averaging 9.2 yards on the season. NC State, both of these teams have a huge opportunity ahead of them.
Yeah.
NC State is playing in a tough coastal division in the ACC. They can win that division, play Clemson in the championship, beat Clemson, and they will submit their ticket to the playoffs if they go undefeated. They got Miami left on their schedule, and then Notre Dame. Notre Dame, if they win out, they got Stanford, number 20 Stanford, and then they got to go to Miami as well. So it is this game is a very, very close game to watch. I think Notre Dame takes the edge there in South Bend, but I'm interested to see what Ron Finley can do with that Wolfpack, who has not yet committed a turnover. He is almost perfect on the season, 11 touchdowns, and he's playing really good for the Wolfpack.
And Notre Dame has 17 takeaways, the majority of those resulting in touchdowns. But I think this is a game where you're not going to get takeaways. You're not going to get those costly turnovers, and you're going to have to create plays while you're
well, we'll see, because Ron Finley's been smart with the ball. Finley's been smart with the ball, and hopefully he can do it again this weekend and make it a game. I think we have two big ranked top 25 matchups in Penn State, Ohio State, North Carolina State, and Notre Dame, which leads then we walk right into Big 12.
Yep, Big 12. We've got TCU at Iowa State. We've seen really strong ball from Iowa State lately. My favorite quote from Gary Patterson was saying that the Iowa State receiving corps looks like a basketball team. They are all very large guys, over 6 feet tall, and what they do best is create space and go up and grab that ball no matter where the defense is.
Yeah, he likes Alan Lazard. This is my favorite game of the week in the Big 12 because there's so many implications in who wins the
Totally.
Big 12 and who plays in the championship championship game. TCU obviously is the clear-cut leader. Iowa State only has one loss to Texas. They beat TCU and they're still in the driver's seat. They can win the remainder of their schedule and then go on into the Big 12 championship at the Cowboy Stadium here in December. It's going to be tough. It's a hard place to play in Ames. Depends on what kind of team that TCU takes up there. I like TCU's defense over Iowa State's offense.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Definitely. We've got Tech at OU this week. Shimonek, our boy.
I like
Shimmy.
I like shimmy.
He didn't have a touchdown
Yeah, the thing is,
against
what
Iowa
I've
State.
always learned is you cannot be beat twice by the same team. And I felt as I watched the game, I felt like West Virginia had beat Texas Tech again. They came out flat. They didn't have any energy. I think that lost that 29-point run that West Virginia went on to close out the game the week prior. I think that hurt the mentality of this Texas Tech Red Raider team who was flying high. They only had one loss against Oklahoma State. They go up to Morgantown. They win in the game at the end of the third quarter, and they just let it go. They stopped playing football. And, quite frankly, West Virginia almost did the same thing in Waco last week versus Baylor. I got Oklahoma winning this game, but Oklahoma has to stop coming out slow. They're jumping up on teams 14-0, and then they're getting off the gas. The defense get gas late in the game. And if they do that this week, Texas Tech can score points. We know that.
Yeah.
Oklahoma
Tech is allowing 30 points. And
Yeah.
so the thing is once you allow those points, you're going to let Baker Mayfield run wild.
Yeah. We'll see. I got Oklahoma winning, but Texas Tech can scare people, especially with the way they move the ball up and down the field.
Yeah. Kansas and Kansas State.
Kansas State wins.
We don't touch on that one much at all. And then we've got Oklahoma State at West Virginia. We know very well that Morgantown is a very difficult place to play in, and Greer and Stills are still leading the nation in touchdowns. And West Virginia's defense, they put on 6 sacks against Baylor.
Yeah.
Almost double the amount of sacks. And I don't know if that's a testament to how weak Baylor's offensive line is.
I think West Virginia got after us early. They started playing a little conservative late in the game, and it almost bit them in the butt. But these two teams, West Virginia and Oklahoma State, they have one loss in the Big 12, both to TCU. Whoever wins this game is in the driver's seat, just like Iowa State, to go on and continue to play and maybe play for the Big 12 championship. Oklahoma State probably is the better team.
Yeah.
They got to go up there and play really well against West Virginia and Morgantown. I'm going to say that after what we saw Texas do to Oklahoma State, West Virginia does something similar to slow down that passing attack, and they take advantage of missed opportunities for Oklahoma State. I think West Virginia wins this game at home in a close one.
Morgantown is way too difficult to play in. And last but not least, we have Texas going up to Waco this weekend.
90-minute
where
drive.
They will get beat by Baylor.
That's your pick? Sean, what we have?
Notice my hesitant saying this, but
Sean's going to remain solid on this
listen
one.
here.
He'll have hot takes once we go off.
So, Baylor almost beats Oklahoma at home. Baylor almost beats West Virginia at home. Texas comes in, it's more of an even playing field, and Baylor gets their first win this weekend.
Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, if Baylor doesn't show up in the stands, it's going to be a home game for Texas.
Baylor will show up. The stadium was like
11 o'clock start, early game. So whoever gets out, the early bird gets the first worm. But this is the thing, man.
Do you know Baylor outgained West Virginia?
I don't care what they did. I don't like what people don't understand. At the end of the game, when I don't even think you can say the lady anymore because then it becomes misogynist or whatever. You know, the saying like at the end of the game when the lady sings, you can't say that anymore because it's like, no, you can't. Well, I can't. You can say it. But, no, oh my So Carolina's starting a fitness class next week. I will be there. Sean will be there, and we'll be in spandex and high socks. But I have no idea. At the end of the game, we lost the game. Loss is a loss.
And Baylor deserved to lose the game, but they
I don't think you deserve to lose. I think you just lose or not. I don't think someone, I guess if you turn over the ball a lot and you have a lot of costly penalties, yeah. The refs helped us out. We almost benefited from that. But I can tell you that I love the fact that we're playing hard. We're playing 4 quarters. We've been in every game except one. You got to win games. You cannot.
So do you think seeing Charlie Brewer come in the 4th quarter, let's just say he was 8 for 13 for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. How to say his name? Tristan?
Yeah, Tristan. Yeah, Tristan Ebner.
Tristan Ebner.
J. Michael.
So J. Michael. Tricky names.
Yeah.
So he also had 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. Do you start Charlie Brewer for this game? You let Zach Smith still start?
If he don't have whatever he had, I don't know if he had flu, stomach virus. I don't think he's been drinking that water. The water off the brazzers. Something happened, and he didn't look himself. And the thing about Charlie Brewer, I like the fact that he came in mentally prepared. When he got in the game, he looked like a guy who's been taking mental reps.
And he had 7 snaps before that.
Okay.
And he comes in and
Cardell Jones doesn't care. I get it. Cardell Jones doesn't care. He went out and won a national championship for Ohio State. Guess what they did the next year? Guess what they did? Yeah. Guess what they did the next year? JT Barrett, hey, you out started. You need to come back over here.
Yeah.
And that's what I like Charlie Brewer. I like his flair. He brought a lot of energy into the stadium. West Virginia completely changed their defense. They did not bring any pressure. They brought 3 pressures to my knowledge. I haven't watched the game again. 1 pressure, Charlie Brewer does his Johnny Manziel best impression. He sneaks out. The other 2 pressures was on a rollout and led to sacks to help add to that total of 6 sacks against Baylor. The thing about rolling and sprinting out, when it's not designed, you get in that Baker Mayfield world where when you're rolling out and sprinting out, you're like no man's land. So you're like, you got the ball for 10 seconds, but no one's open, and then you get desperate. The thing I like about Zach is you can sit in the pocket, and if you protect him, he can find open receivers. He can make those throws. Yeah. Like, if we're doing design runs and RPOs, I like Charlie Brewer doing that. But if we're doing, like, the Zach Smith offense, and he just is able to create with his feet, that helps. But if I'm Texas, I put 3 men down on the ground, and I say, if I'm Tom Herman, I go to the defensive lineman locker room, I say, if you want to win this game, you go win it. We win and lose this game on your backs. Go out there and get after this quarterback. And I put a spy in the box on Charlie Brewer. I say, if you want to win this game, Baylor, you better be more athletic at quarterback than we are at linebacker. And I'm going to take my bets against Texas linebacker. They're not the strongest group on their defense. I think their secondary is really good. Their defensive line is the best in the conference. But what we can do to slow down the rush is play Ebner, Williams, Hasty, and Lovett. And all 4 of them possess a totally different running style. They run different. They all bring a different element. Ebner is probably the best pass catcher from his receiver days. And, I mean, he's just a big play guy. Yeah. I like what Hasty brings. I think Hasty, if I'm looking at, like, the biggest play opportunity for our offense, JaMychal Hasty probably brings that in the dynamic, but Ebner's a gamer. He had some crucial first downs, and he had some big plays to help when Charlie was scrambling late in the game. And then you got to go with Terrance Williams and Lovett. Lovett will get better, but he's running like a freshman. And as he gets, more and more carries and puts on a little bit more weight, he will be a really, really good running back. Defensively, Baylor has to step up. Yeah. And if I'm Baylor, I load the box and I make Texas throw the ball because they're not good at throwing. They're going to try to run the ball with Shane Buechele. If Ellinger can't play, I think he will still. I think he'll play. Yeah. First of all, Tom Herman cannot lose to 0-7 Baylor team. Yeah. He will not hear the end of it. I know a lot of Baylor fans want Baylor to win this game. I do not have Baylor winning. I got the game being 35-31 Texas.
We'll see.
I read a stat today by Colt Barber. He said that Texas is averaging maybe under 20 points a game from the offense. The defense has gotten, and special teams has gotten all the other scores. So if we can protect the ball like we did last week, Baylor protect the ball like they did last week, we have a chance to go out there and have fun and get after them. But I say you release, Taylor Young, Johnston, and Ogor, and let them wreak havoc. Line up on the line of scrimmage, blitz if you want to, drop in coverage if you want to, and just play ball. Play good man on the back end because Texas doesn't have a good enough arm to win games.
Yeah.
Johnson at receiver is really good for Texas if they can get him the ball. He's great with the ball in the air. Reminds me of a Seals from West Virginia last week, but he just isn't catching the ball consistently enough. This is a tough game because the teams really haven't put together 4 quarters in the last few weeks. I'm going to stick with Texas. As I look and watch film on both of these teams as we get closer to game time, I think Texas is ready to get off the bus at 11 a.m., play the game, and get back in Austin to party the rest of the weekend.
Well, we will see.
Who you got?
I'm sticking with Baylor.
What's the score?
24-17.
Ooh. I mean, our defense can't. They possess the talent, and Phil Snow can drop a scheme that works. The thing is, the games that we play really well late in the game, defenses have really
dialed it back.
Yeah, they dialed it back. Like they set in zone, they stopped rushing, they stopped pressuring, and we just took advantage of it. So I don't know who you got tonight with the Dodgers and Astros.
Keuchel versus Kershaw.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go Dodgers.
Yeah, I think I got Dodgers winning at 5.
I can't. I mean, I wish I could cheer for a Texas team, but those words will never come out of my mouth.
Why you don't like the Astros?
I'm a Rangers fan.
But just for you
No.
just can't do that.
I can't.
I hate TCU, but I want TCU to win games when they play other
For the
teams.
Big 12?
Yeah,
Sure.
you can't do it for
No.
the state of Texas.
No.
You're bad, man. Jeez. What we got next week again?
Oh, next week, Wednesday.
Taco Wednesday.
Taco till
Women Crush
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Women Crush Wednesday. We will do that.
You gonna bring me like a crush, orange crush?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be my Woman Crush Wednesday. Shout out to all our fans and thank y'all for joining us again. It's been fun this week, and we'll see y'all next week.
If you feel like partying, come out to Three Nations Brewing.
3 Nation Brewing. Gavin and the crew always does they treats us well. I guess I can stop it with that. Y'all have a good one. Talk to y'all later. Bye.